Fame as he receives the Distinguished Alumnus of the Year. I'd like to congratulate all and give a special shout out to my former players, Mike and Matt. And I think Mr. Dunn forgets that I don't think Matt had 4 years of baseball, if I recall. His freshman year, he was a track star and was kind of recruited to the baseball team after that year, if I recall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I now have the pleasure and privilege of introducing Dr. Noah Allen into the newest class of the Cincinnati Country Day Hall of Fame. I'd like to welcome Noah's family. It's especially nice to share this day with Noah's dad, Bruce, as he was such a staunch supporter of not only Noah, but of the entire Country Day athletic family. When Noah entered high school in 1997, I already knew that he was going to be have a stellar athletic career. I began watching Noah play basketball as a youngster when he was a ball boy for his older brother's teams here, as well as a ball boy at UC. Now, Nathan and Jonas were very good athletes in their own right, but it was Noah that I was excited to be waiting for. As a matter of fact, I'll bet the two of you, and Nathan couldn't make it today, but we'll stick with Jonas. I'll bet you probably can't figure out why I never corrected you in games after all these years. And was it because you guys were better than everyone else? I don't really think that was the case. Was it because I liked you better than everyone else? That really wasn't the case either. But it was really because I didn't want to yell at either one of them and get your mom Alice upset at me, and heaven forbid send Noah to some awful school like Seven Hills or Walnut Hills. I know certainly lived up to our lofty expectations. He graduated from Country Day in 2001 as one of the finest two-sport stars in school history. In basketball, Noah made the varsity as a sophomore and started every game for 3 years. I still remember his first game at Felicity, and I'm not as good as some of these other coaches. I don't really remember a whole lot. So in his first game, I do remember that he scored 25 points in leading us to the win. To this day, I can't really figure out why they left him open for so many shots, but I suppose it was because he was new to the varsity, and he certainly wasn't very imposing at around 6'4" and somewhere around 98 pounds. Noah didn't put much weight on in high school, but he kept on scoring. As a senior, Noah led the team to a 19-1 regular season record and league championship and city championship, and was not only the team MVP, but he was also all-district and the Cincinnati Enquirer Player of the Year. Jonas says that he and Nathan, his older brother, get a lot of the credit because as big brothers, they pushed him hard when they played. Now, I suppose there's some truth to that because Jonas was quite a good basketball player as well, and he reminded me last week that between the two of them, when they were seniors, they averaged over 22 points a game. Of course, Jonas's contribution was less than 2 points out of that 22. The rest belonged to Noah. But in all fairness to Jonas, he did win the award for Defensive Player of the Year when he was a senior, and Noah, on the other hand, was really never known as a defensive player. And I would scream in games, Noah, defense, defense. And when I started to scream like that, Noah would just daydream and think about hitting the ball over defense. As good a basketball player as Noah was, he was even a better baseball player. In his first 2 years of high school, Noah was an excellent pitcher. In his last 2 years, according to Coach Dunn, Noah not only became even a better pitcher, but he turned into a terrific hitter as well. As a senior, Noah had a season that most players only dream about. After an outstanding regular season, Noah hit a 3-run home run in the regional final to send the game into extra innings. The Indians would eventually win the ball game, and 1 week later, Noah pitched the first 5 innings of the state championship game, giving up only 1 run in helping the baseball team to the school's second state team championship. Of course, once again, older brother gets some of the credit, as Nathan was also on the state championship team 8 years earlier in 1993. Noah received numerous awards for baseball, including All-League, All-District, All-State, and all whatever you want to give it. And he continued to play baseball and experience success when he went to Williams College for the next 4 years, and then when he went on to UC Med School, where he met his lovely wife Valerie, who currently is residing in residency, I should say, with Noah's dad, Bruce, the original Dr. Allen. Speaking of Bruce, it would be tragic if I didn't discuss the parents' role in Noah's success as an athlete, but more importantly as a person. To begin, clearly I'm not speaking about Bruce's contributions to Noah's DNA, because from what I've been told, Noah fortunately inherited his mother's athletic ability. Alice played college basketball at Spalding College in the days of 6 women basketball. And as the best player on the team, she played the rover position, being the only woman to cross half court and play defense and offense. And Noah, I hope that you realize how proud your mother would be of you today. With all that being said, Noah's father contributed in many other ways to his athletic and personal success. For 6 or 7 years, Bruce served as a team doctor. And how do you like that? He was probably the only team doctor of a boys basketball team to be a gynecologist. And speaking of that, I remember back in 1996, right before our first basketball game of the year, when I discovered that one of my players had managed to miss the part about getting a physical. And without giving it another thought, I called Bruce, asked for help, and of course he told me to bring the player right over. And so I did. And it's just too bad that in those days we didn't have camera phones, because it would have been great to capture the look on my guy's face as we walked into an office full of women looking like they were ready to deliver any minute. For all the babies that Bruce has delivered, as with the other sons as well, I think that he never missed one of Noah's games. Cheerleader, analyst, and disciplinarian. If need be, what a great fan he was for the entire program. Win or lose, 25 points or 5 points for Noah, I really came to rely on a handshake after the game and a mazel tov from Bruce, no matter what happened. He served as a brilliant role model for his boys and for the new parents in our program. In summation, Noah embodies the very qualities that we wish to instill in all of our Country Day athletes. Whether he was shooting the last-second jumper or pitching in a close game, Noah was the embodiment of confidence and simultaneously humility, always unaware of the tension or fanfare around him. I know that I would love to have more Noah Allens running around the halls today. Noah, as I speak for all your coaches, when I say that it was truly a joy and pleasure to coach, teach, and get to know you. At this time, I'd like to present Noah Allen as the newest member of the Cincinnati Country Day Hall of Fame.
Been fighting this thing all day. I'm truly honored to be standing here today, and those are great words by Mr. Brownstein, Coach, as I always call him. But the thing that made me the happiest when I found out I was getting inducted to the Hall of Fame is it actually gave me a chance to say formal thanks to the people who got me here today. Obviously, this isn't just an athletic institution. There's obviously an academic place to begin with. So all the teachers that I've gotten to see over the past 2 days, it's been great to catch up with you guys. It brings back great memories of not just being on the athletic field, but the classroom here. Just like Christy said, I'm actually a lifer myself. I went here for pre-kindergarten, so Country Day has obviously played a large role in my life. So I want to thank some of my coaches. Coach Cohen is here, who's the assistant coach on the baseball team. I want to thank you, obviously, for coaching me to a state championship with all the great memories. I know we both had kind of a difficult year that year. I lost my mother and you lost a son. But through the whole thing, we were all very professional about it, and you were very supportive for me. I also want to thank Coach Dunn. As I sat here and listened to him give Matt's introduction, I started to get, my heart rate started pumping a little bit. I started to get all pumped up. I was bringing back memories of those baseball games with his pregame speeches. But Mr. Dunn is just a great influence on my life. And probably short of marrying my wife, the second greatest decision of my life was actually to go to Williams College. And I'll forever be indebted to Mr. Dunn for helping influence that happen and helping me get into that, such a great institution. I also want to obviously thank Mr. Brownstein. You'd be harder pressed to find a better coach anywhere in the city who's more loyal to his school and to his former teammates. He's not just been a great coach to me, he's also been a great friend. Whether it be any of my great life experiences, he was at my wedding, he was at my father's wedding when he got remarried. We hope to share many more great experiences with you in the future. This obviously won't be the last. So I want to thank you very much, and especially for those kind words. I definitely want to thank my family who's here. I'll start with my brothers. Jonas, who I'll admit was a good defender, and there are only certain situations where I'll ever give an honest opinion on what happened when we were growing up here. I've never beaten my brother in one-on-one basketball. I've only discussed it one other time in public, and that was at his wedding. So this is the second time, so as everyone here is my witness, to this day I have still not beaten him. Let it be known that we haven't played since I was about 11 years old. I think in puberty and high school, I think we might have a different story. The gym's right over there, and I got my basketball shoes in my car. He'll obviously refuse. And Daniel, I want to say you're always a great person to have around on the bench. It meant a lot to me to have my little brother on the bench with me throughout high school. He was a great supporter for our team. He actually was our most dedicated water boy that I've ever seen. And he was always he's always relaxed me during games and big situations. He'd just say, "No, don't worry, it's just a game." And I always remember him talking to me during those games. And obviously, my father, Mr. Coach Brownstein, I don't know if it's hard to do my father justice with all the stuff he's done for me. To say that, and now as a physician myself, and I fully appreciate the hours it takes and how hard it is to have a life outside of work, for him to be able to attend, and I kid you not, essentially every single game I ever had in high school as a solo practice obstetrician is truly remarkable. Now whether he planned his time deliveries around 7:30 Friday night and his inductions and C-sections, and I won't make that public, but that's definitely a possibility. But Dad, thank you, I love you, I don't say it enough, just want you to know that. The other one I want to thank also is Matt, who's one of my teammates. So I can't speak to the other athletes who are being inducted today because I never play with them. Obviously their accomplishments are incredible. But Matt I can speak to as a teammate who I actually did get to play with. And just as Mr. Dunn said, he was infectious. He worked harder than anyone on the team, and he always pushed people around him to be better. So thank you, Matt, and it's a true honor to be inducted with you. The last thing I want to mention, just about Country Day in general, obviously this is an academic institution, and there's great teaching here in the halls. But one of the most important things is the teaching that goes on the athletic field. And I think some of the best teaching here doesn't happen in this building here. It happens on the baseball field and in the gym itself. I know all the leadership skills, my competitiveness, my teamwork are things that I've gotten from my coaches, not in the classroom here, but growing up on the fields. And that's transmitted to the rest of my life, my professional life as a physician, and also as a family man. So I truly want to thank everyone involved with Country Day and the institution, everyone that made this day possible. Thank you very much.
I'd like to welcome up Mr. Tim Dunn again, who will present Mike Hill, our distinguished alumni.